1,000, let me see, 632 of you subscribers. Thank you for joining me on this journey of life. And you all are with me. We're all connected somehow. I don't know how that works, but I've lived long enough in this 62 years of life to realize that everything I do for you or to you comes back to me multiplied. So it's my intent to inspire, enlighten, and build up humanity. And guess what? You 1,632 awesome people are humanity. So this is what I get to do. This is my responsibility. So what do I have for you today? First, hit that like button and subscribe because I need that algorithm to build up so we can reach more people. You want to reach more people, don't you? Be part of something bigger? I know I do. So I was thinking today, my dog, whenever the sun shines through the window, it lays out in the sun. It inherently knows that the sun gives life to everything on the earth. So it knows it needs to partake of that sun. That's human, or not human nature. It's human nature not to do what's good for us a lot of times. But the dog naturally knows what to do. But we as humans seem to think we can bypass nature and our natural inclinations. How many people, and maybe you're one of them, and I'm not condemning you because it's a habit we get into, how many people get up every day in a climatized environment in their home, let's say air conditioning or heating, they get in their car with air conditioning or heating, they go to their office or business or whatever with air conditioning or heating or school, and then they come home and do the same thing. And they never partake of the fresh air of nature or the sun or any of these things that actually give you life, which gives life to everything on earth. They don't do it. And it's not intentionally, but it's just our society creates this path for us, which is very unhealthy. Just go out sometimes in the country, somewhere where there's no buildings, no cars, which is hard to do, and just breathe in the deep air. Now, I'm not an environmentalist or a tree hugger, as they call it, and if you are, that's great. But I know that there's life in nature, and we need to live in that instead of inside of our homes, our businesses, our cars. We need to get out and partake of that. We become restricted, and then we wonder why we're sickly, we're weak, we're depressed, when we're not really in harmony with life. But as I said, the dog knows to get into the sun as it shines through the window. But how many of you don't ever even experience the sun, the warmth of the sun on your body, unless you go to the beach or you travel to Cancun or some other place in the world? You need this daily if you can possibly get it. Think about the power of the sun and the magnificence of it. If it were just a little bit farther away or a little bit closer, we wouldn't be existing, but it's in the exact right spot. What causes the plants to come up every year in the spring? The sun. What gives life to everything on earth? The sun. Some of the ancient civilizations used to regard it as a god. And it's easy to understand why. So we get away from these things, and let's talk about, I don't really want to talk about it, but let's talk about processed food. Of course, all food is processed because if you wash food, that's considered a process. But what I'm talking about are these boxed foods, these frozen foods, these genetically modified foods, and it's really hard to get away from it. I started checking this out 4 or 5 years ago. I wanted to eat healthier, and it's really discouraging to find something that is not so processed that you can actually get the natural vitamins and minerals from the food. Very difficult. I've been eating organic peas for quite some time. Even they have sugar in them. Okay, it's cane sugar, but it's still sugar. Now, when I go back to eating the regular peas, the normal brands, which aren't organic, it's like eating teaspoons full of sugar. But most people, including myself, don't notice these things because you're raised upon them. You don't realize how much sugar, salt, and flour are in these foods. White flour. Some people call those the three poisons. But sugar is addicting, salt is addicting. So the companies put they're chemicals, some people call them poisons, in the food. So you will want to eat more of it, which is obvious in our first world country with a 70 to 75% overweight or obese statistic or rate here in the US. So these things are addictive, and thus the food companies make trillions of dollars. But you have a choice. You can buy organic, but then again, it's so much more expensive, and I understand that. But the way you have to look at that is most people eat too much food anyway. Some of the happiest cultures of people with the best longevity, living longer, eat less and do more. Most of us overeat. I can actually eat less than what I do. And what you'll find when you cut back on your eating, especially if you cut back on the sugary, starches, salty foods, is you will feel better. Most of these foods actually make the doctors billions of dollars too. When you think about it, I believe it's I could be wrong about this, but the food industry, I don't think I am. They're the biggest lobbyists in the White House. Second is the pharmaceutical companies. Now, like I said, I'm not exactly sure about the pharmaceuticals, but I know the food industry is a $1 trillion industry, and they are the biggest lobbyists in the U.S. White House. Now, the lobbyists, they push lawmakers to make certain laws, of course, which benefit them. So who actually runs the world? That's a whole other video. Not the government, but the big companies, the big food companies, the pharmaceutical companies. They push for legislation and laws that benefit them, of course. But that's kind of off the topic in a way, but it's not. So the food that you're eating is very important. Have you ever picked up something from one of the local stores, let's say one of the local cut rate food markets? The vegetables, they look really good, but there's no taste there. You bite into an apple, but it's juicy, but there's nothing there. And a lot of these people will put, or a lot of these companies will put the nutritional value on this food. All they're really putting on there is caloric value. How many calories are in it? That has nothing to do with how much vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin A, and many other vitamins are in the food. If you put the vitamin value in a lot of these processed foods or these genetically modified foods, you would find out the vitamin value is much lower than it would be had it been grown naturally. So we actually, some people call it death by 1,000 cuts when we eat the processed food. And I won't even get into fast food. It's like, you need to stay away from that stuff. I'm not even really sure how your body can even operate on those foods because it's so processed. By the time it gets to your mouth, it's hard telling what the food value, the vitamin value is of the food in respects to something that hasn't been modified, processed many times over, frozen, genetically, etc., etc. But you wouldn't think of going to the gas station and putting bad gas in your car. But yet, why do people, none of you guys, of course, and I'm sure if you're doing it, you're going to stop. Why do you put this junk into your body? Because it tastes good? Yeah, it does. I'm telling you, there's nothing wrong with having a fast food burger, some fries once in a while. But too many of us have steady diets of this stuff. We never eat anything that is really good for us. And I understand it's really hard to find that, and you have to pay more money for it. It's a difficult thing. But think about down the road. And that's the problem with people. They only think about the immediate gain. Don't think about how good it is right now. Think about the effects later on. The people that are really out of shape, their knees are going out because they're overweight. They can't hardly walk 20 feet without breathing hard. This really puts a lot of pressure on your system to work harder when you're carrying this extra weight or when you're not in very good health. This last couple years where we had this health situation, if you look at the statistics, the people who really suffered from it were the ones who had comorbidities. which meant they were already in very bad health, either by diet, lack of exercise, generally by not taking care of themselves. Not all of them, of course, but many by not taking care of themselves. I had someone on a post on Facebook ask me what he could do. Of course, he said, I'm asking for a friend, what he could do to, he was 60 years old, taking all kinds of medications. What could he do to have just a little bit of the how do I say, the abundant, full life that I have? And that is the situation of a lot of people my age and even younger. They're taking all kinds of medications. Their health is poor. They don't feel good. But it's a lifetime of eating bad food, not taking care of yourself. As I said earlier, most people take better care of their cars than they do themselves. So what can you do if you've got yourself into that position? I was there once. It was many years ago. I was 20 years old. I'd gotten some trouble and I decided I was going to get in shape and start boxing because I liked fighting. Okay, the first time I ran, I remember, and of course I had smoked, I was smoking. I think I quit smoking before that time, but I drank a lot, did drugs and partied, so I decided I was going to start running to get in shape because I wanted to box and change my life, okay, and it did help me, probably kept me out of jail. The first time I ran one telephone pole length and back. I sat on the couch, I was dizzy, and I about passed out. That's how bad a shape I was in at 20 years old. Okay, so we all have to start somewhere. Eventually, long story short, I got to where I could run as much as 31 miles. I would spar many rounds, I fought. I got in excellent shape. But I started out in the same bad shape that some of you are in now. But you might say to me, well, Mark, you were only 20, that's different. No, it doesn't matter. You're never too old to start getting in shape. Now, I'm not telling you to go out there and run a couple telephone pole lengths. Maybe you're extremely obese or overweight, but I am telling you to get up. If your doctor says it's okay, gotta say that. Consult with your doctor. I am telling you to get up and walk a block and come back. If you can't make that, walk a half a block. And the next day, go a little bit further. Every day, go a little farther. And as far as eating, don't go on a diet. Diets, they're mostly temporary. You have to change your whole lifestyle. So just continue to eat, but maybe at one meal or a little bit every meal, eat something that's good for you, that you don't like. That builds discipline. It's like eating peas. My dad used to tell me I hated peas. Spinach. I still don't eat spinach, but learn to like them, he said. Today, peas are my favorite food. Okay, and I can eat some really, what most people would consider bland food because I've stopped eating all that high spice, high sugar, high salt stuff. I still use sugar occasionally and I still use salt, but it's not a steady part of my diet. So what I'm telling you is, when you have a meal, just put your meal on your plate, whatever it happens to be, but just cut back a little bit. Take one less bite every day and take one more bite of something that's really good for you, like some organic peas. Have a lettuce salad with nothing on it. I mean, if you want to put a little dressing, okay, but don't just soak the son of a bitch down with dressing. It's these little steps that build up habits over a period of time. Just like you have a habit of eating badly now, of not exercising, you can build up habits the other way. The habits you have now, the bad habits, were built up over a period of time. So you're not going to change them overnight. That's the problem with diets. It's all, you have this sudden change. Maybe you lose a lot of weight, you get in great shape, but it doesn't infiltrate into your lifestyle, into a habit. For some people it works, for most it doesn't. They usually end up gaining the weight back more than they ever started with. So it's a lifestyle change. Don't weigh yourself every day. Once a week is plenty. And don't judge your progress on how much weight you have lost or gained if you're trying to gain muscle weight, because that will drive you crazy too. Because the scale can vary over a couple of pounds this day or that day according to how much fluid weight, how much water weight you have in you. But all these things take a period of time, but you can do it. Just realize that it's going to take a little time. And every time you push yourself a little farther, a little harder than you think you got, as a man, It builds up an inner strength and gives you a fulfillment that you don't get in any other way. I can't speak for women. I'm not a woman, obviously. I can say I'm not a woman. I am a man. I believe a man has a penis and a woman has a vagina, okay? That's just my belief. Hey, I could be wrong, but I don't think so. Okay, but what I'm saying is we are all different. Men and women are different, so we each find fulfillment differently in different things. But I don't think either man or woman is not going to, can't help but feel better about themselves if they start doing what is good for them instead of what is detrimental to their health. Thanks for joining me. Once again, hit that like button to subscribe. Check out my books on Amazon. They're very inspirational. Coming Back Home, The True Adventure of Mark Daniels, and The Power is Within. And if you'd like to get my help personally, you can contact me on my website at marksinspiration.com. We'll have a 15-minute free consultation, and if I think I can help you and you think I can help you, then we'll see what we can do. I will give you some structure and advice that I've learned through my years, and you can try to conform it, or we together can try to conform it to your personality. We'll find out what works for you, because what works for me may not work the same for you, but we can form some type of a program to get you going in the right direction. And as you go, you will grow into what works best for you. If you keep an open mind and be aware and awake, think about your thoughts. Think about what you're thinking about. Think about what you're eating. Think about what you're doing. Think about your exercise. Think, contemplate. Most people don't do that, but I know you guys do, or you wouldn't be here. I'm out of here. It's a beautiful sunny day. I'm going to run with the boys. Take care. Have a great day.